Good evening. You're now with me, Andy Gui, for TVS Nightline. Onto the headlining stories. Despite the uncertain global geopolitical situation, our overall economy is still under control. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim gave this assurance following today's National Economic Action Council M10 meeting, which was the second for 2026.
In the Facebook post on Monday, Anwar shared that, among other things, the Council received a briefing on the country's latest key economic indicators. He also said the Cabinet has agreed for M10 to closely monitor developments in the West Asia crisis, with in-depth discussions to be held every week. He added that the government will step up its monitoring of the crisis to ensure any impact on the national economy can be addressed early on. Future M10 discussions will also see more active participation from industry players to get a more comprehensive understanding of the issues. Anwar also confirmed that the government will continue to keep a close watch on the escalating conflict between the US, Israel and Iran. At the same time, he said they will work to maintain the country's economic resilience to ensure the people's well-being isn't compromised.
With the war in the Middle East entering its third week, tensions continue to rise across the region. Washington signals possible talks with Iran even as Tehran rejects negotiations. Meanwhile, pressure grows over the Strait of Hormuz, global oil supplies and widening clashes across the region. Here are the developments. U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States is in discussions with Iran as the war enters its third week, but adds that Tehran is not yet ready for a deal to end the conflict. Trump says Iran is getting pretty close to negotiations, though he is unsure about pursuing a deal, noting that much of Iran's leadership has been killed since the war began. On the opposing side, Tehran rejects Washington's claim of dialogue. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says the country is not interested in negotiations with the United States, pushing back against Trump's suggestion that a deal could be near. Araghchi describes the conflict, which began with U.S.-Israeli strikes on February 28, as a war of choice, targeting both civilians and military installations. He adds that Iran has never asked for a ceasefire or negotiations and will continue to defend itself as long as necessary. With the Strait of Hormuz under pressure, governments are moving to stabilize global energy markets. The International Energy Agency (IEA) says strategic oil reserves will be released immediately in Asia and Oceania, and as early as the end of March in the United States and Europe. The move aims to ease the surge in oil prices triggered by the war. In total, about 271.7 million barrels of government-managed oil stocks will be released worldwide. Meanwhile, developments are also unfolding on the humanitarian front. Israel announces that the Rafah border crossing with Egypt will reopen for limited passenger travel starting Wednesday. The crossing, a key gateway for Gaza, had been closed after Israel launched strikes on Iran. Officials say the terminal will operate with restricted movement while maintaining strict security measures. At the same time, the conflict continues to spill across borders. In Lebanon, the health ministry says Israeli attacks have killed 850 people during 2 weeks of fighting between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah. The toll includes women, children and health workers, with more than 2,000 others wounded. However, the figures cannot be independently verified and do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. Regional security concerns are also affecting major transport hubs. Flights are temporarily suspended at Dubai International Airport following a drone-related incident that sparks a fire near the facility. Officials say the blaze involves a fuel tank but is quickly contained with no injuries reported. The UAE Defense Ministry later says its air defense systems intercept a wave of Iranian drones and missiles. Elsewhere in the Gulf, air defenses remain on high alert. Saudi Arabia says it intercepts more than 60 drones overnight. According to the Defense Ministry, a total of 61 drones are shot down in the eastern part of the country in the early hours of Monday. Authorities say the interceptions come amid escalating regional tensions linked to the ongoing war. Germany rejects U.S. President Donald Trump's request to send military forces to the Strait of Hormuz after Trump calls on NATO allies to help secure the key shipping route amid rising tensions with Iran. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius says there will be no military participation, stressing that Germany prefers a diplomatic approach to ensure safe passage through the strategic waterway. He adds that Germany did not start the conflict and believes the situation should not become a broader North Atlantic Treaty Organization military operation.
And one thing is certain, I can say as much for Germany. We are ready to ensure safe passage through the Straits of Hormuz diplomatically. However, there will be no military participation. Wir haben diesen Krieg nicht begonnen. Wir alle teilen das Ziel, dieses Mullah-Regime zu einem Ende zu bringen. Die Frage, auf welche Art und Weise das geschieht, darüber wird diskutiert. Die Amerikaner haben sich für diesen Weg entschieden, zusammen mit den Israelis. Das haben wir nur sehr maßvoll kritisiert.
Within NATO, all eyes are on the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global oil shipping route. Trump earlier urged NATO members to help guarantee navigation in the strait after Iran declared the route closed to U.S. and allied traffic, escalating tensions in one of the world's most critical oil transit corridors. Trump warns NATO could face a very bad future if allies fail to help reopen the strait, which Iran has effectively shut during the conflict. Trump also says a planned summit in Beijing with Chinese President Xi Jinping could be delayed as Washington presses China to help ensure safe passage. Meanwhile, Japan says it is not considering maritime security operations, while Australia rules out sending a Navy ship to the waterway. After flurries of statements alleging that Benjamin Netanyahu is dead, today a video of him going to a cafe enjoying a latte made rounds, not because of his message stating that he is alive and well, but because of suspicions that the video is generated by AI. Several details of the video are amiss, including his coffee not spilling even when it was tilted, movements that seem unnatural while the coffee seemed unaffected after he took a sip. Ryan Mata explains the video in detail.
I'm trying to show you like the movement of the cup because it's like it's overflowing on the sides here, like it's tipping over the edge, but you're not seeing it spill, which is pretty crazy, right? So we can go back and forth here. Now again, pay attention to the top of the cup. I want to show you what you're kind of seeing on there. Now it's not clearly definitive, but as it gets closer to his mouth, as he comes around here, the design on the cup is going to gets better. Like by the second, like right now you're watching that design, it'll almost be like right there. See it switch, like instantly got like almost like perfect there. Okay, now after this, I'm going to catch a jump frame. I'm just randomly scrolling through here and all of a sudden it like jumped there. Like it actually jumped, like he moved. Like watch his body move there. You're going to see it. See, 1 second he's there and then the next second it jumps over. Like, so the film there is cutting a frame. That would, in real life, in a real video, I don't think that, I've never seen that in a camera. That's like a super person move. For one frame, for his body to jump like that, there's no smooth movement there. It's not natural.
The cafe Sataf posted 3 photos of Netanyahu enjoying the cup of coffee on their Instagram to justify his presence on the day. Unfortunately, many internet sleuths did a reverse image search and found that the photo was taken in early 2024 when Netanyahu was making several publicized field visits and stops at local businesses. Suspicions also arise as Tel Aviv is now under attack, while the environment in the video depicts a much more peaceful era of the city. Now, the federal court allowed Petronas's application for leave to commence proceedings to challenge the validity of several Sarawak ordinances governing oil and gas matters in the state. Chief Judge of Malaya, Dr. Sri Hashim Hamzah, sitting as a single judge, said he is satisfied that Petronas met the threshold for leave to be granted and that the case will be argued and ventilated before the federal court in its original jurisdiction. He said that after hearing submissions from parties, it showed that there are arguable cases and that it is not frivolous or an abuse of court process. In January this year, Petronas filed a motion for leave to commence proceedings against the Sarawak state government under Article 4(3), 4(4), and 128(1) of the Federal Constitution by way of a petition.
Petronas is challenging the legislative competency of the Sarawak State Legislature to enact certain laws and to declare several laws made by the Sarawak State Legislature invalid. Some of the provisions include Sections 7, 7A and 8 of the Sarawak Distribution of Gas Ordinance 2016, Section 3 of the Sarawak Interpretation Ordinance 2005, Section 2 of the Sarawak Oil Mining Ordinance 1958, Section 2 of the Sarawak National Parks and Nature Reserves Ordinance 1998, and Section 2 of the Sarawak Land Code 1958.
In the same development, the Sarawak government announces that it will wait for the federal court's ruling before coordinating a petition to assert the state's constitutional rights and challenge the continued application of the federal petroleum laws in the region. Sarawak's Attorney General, Dr. Sri Safari Ali, says the federal court allows Petronas to file a reference on legal questions regarding the clarity of petroleum operation framework in Sarawak.
And the court has said they have 21 days to file petition, and that would be sometime middle April for them to file petition, right? So at the moment we have also our petition, so we will see whether their petition and our petition will be heard together or consolidated. We will see what happens next.
Meanwhile, Sarawak's legal counsel, Dato' Sri Fong Ju Chung, firmly states that they are ready to go for retrial following the judge's ruling that the matter is legally arguable.
Well, today the court decided that there's an arguable case, not a strong case or whatever. There's an arguable case to be brought before the full bench of the federal court. So we have to re-argue again the same matter before a larger number of judges.
The Sarawak government has also filed a petition in the federal court to challenge the validity and continued application of 3 federal laws, namely the Petroleum Development Act 1974, the Continental Shelf Act 1966, and the Petroleum Mining Act 1966. This is because, based on MA 63 and related constitutional instruments, sovereign rights over petroleum resources within Sarawak's boundaries were transferred to the state on Malaysia Day by the British government and not to the federal government. In this regard, Sarawak maintains that the said acts should no longer apply to the state since June 2012, based on Article 150(7) of the Federal Constitution.
Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.